Level 1, the first file ***, the folder lands on the table in front of you at 6:47 in the morning. No introduction, no briefing. Just a manila envelope, a name written in pencil on the front, and a photograph clipped to the inside cover. You open it. The photograph is of a clearing in southern France, Gévaudan region. The year is 1764. The first known victim is a 14-year-old girl named Jean Boulet, attacked while watching sheep in a field. After that, the attacks don't stop. Between 1764 and 1767, something kills somewhere between 60 and 113 people, most of them women, most of them children. You study the case not because you've been assigned to it. It's already over. Everyone involved is long dead. You study it because someone tells you to, because before you can go into the field, you have to understand what you're dealing with. What it looks like when an animal decides that people are easier than prey. What it looks like when an entire region breaks down, farmers refusing to work their fields, people staying inside after dark, a government so desperate it sends its best hunter, who kills the wrong animal and watches the attacks start again 2 weeks later. The beast of Gévaudan is eventually shot by a local farmer named Jean Chastel on June 19, 1767. When they cut it open, they find human remains inside its stomach. Nobody ever figures out what it was. You close the folder. You set it back on the table. You don't feel anything yet. That's normal. That comes later. Right now, you're just a name on a list. You haven't earned anything. You haven't proven anything. You're sitting in a room reading about something that happened 260 years ago, and you still think you understand what you're walking into. You don't. Level 2, White 4, Black Knight ***. Your first real assignment is in the Chingi district, on the border of what will later become Zambia. They brief you on Chingi Charlie before you land. A white-furred lion with a shortened tail. Hunts with 2 other males. Between them, somewhere between 90 and 100 people are dead. The 3 lions move village to village, always at night, never hitting the same place twice in a row. By the time any hunter gets to a trap site, the lions have already shifted direction. Charlie is the one that matters. The other 2 follow his lead. You learn the pattern fast. The lions go quiet when hunters arrive. They wait, sometimes weeks. Once the hunters leave, the killings resume, so you don't leave. You set up in an abandoned hut 400 meters from the last confirmed kill site and you stay there for 11 days. You eat cold food. You don't light fires. You don't move during daylight. At night you sit at the window with your rifle across your knees and you watch the tree line. On the 12th night, you hear something wrong in the silence. Not a sound, the absence of one. The birds stop, you don't move. You breathe through your mouth, you never see the other 2 lions. That's what they don't tell you in the briefing, that when Charlie comes, the other males are already somewhere else watching the exits. The shot you take is at 60 meters. It connects. After Charlie goes down, the other 2 lions leave the district and never return. The kills stop, you stand over the body in the dark and you look at the white fur. It's the first time you've seen something like this up close. Bigger than you expected. Heavier. The face is calm in a way that doesn't match anything you thought you'd feel. You don't feel like a hero. You feel like you've passed a test you didn't know you were taking. Someone will write your name in a report. That report goes somewhere. Someone reads it. A few weeks later, another folder arrives. ***, level 3, the ghost of Panna ***. You understand leopards now. That's what you tell yourself on the 14-hour drive into the Panna district of northern India. You've studied the case files. You know the history. A cholera outbreak tore through this region in the early 1900s. So many people died so fast that the bodies were left outside, unburned, because there weren't enough survivors to handle them. A male leopard fed on the dead. When the outbreak ended and the bodies ran out, it switched. Over the following years, it kills over 400 people. You understand the mechanism. A predator that has eaten human flesh loses its hesitation. The fear response inverts. People become familiar, expected, easy. What you don't understand, what the files don't prepare you for, is how invisible the Panna leopard is. It attacks at night. It breaks into homes. When families start blocking their doors, it comes in through the walls, through the roof. It will return to the same house more than once in a single night, taking a second person before dawn. Families watch their relatives dragged into the dark and cannot stop it. Local hunters have been trying to kill it for years by the time you arrive. None of them ever get a shot. They never see it. It exists in a space between sighting and aftermath. You find the evidence, but the animal is already gone. You spend 23 days in the field. You don't speak to anyone except through translators. You sleep 4 hours a night. You set a tethered goat 80 meters from the last attack site and you wait 3 nights. On the 4th night, the goat goes quiet. The shot you fire in the dark isn't a kill shot. You track the wounded leopard through the forest on foot, alone, for 2 hours in darkness broken only by a handheld lamp. The blood trail goes in and out of the undergrowth. You follow it. When you find the leopard, it's still alive. You finish it quickly. On the walk back, you don't think about the 400 dead. You think about the 2 hours in the forest. About how the darkness felt different than it ever has before. About how your hands were steady, but something in your chest wasn't. That's new. You file your report. The figure confirmed. 400 kills, 400 people. You say it to yourself once in the dark of the supply tent, just to hear it out loud. then you stop saying it. Level 4, the shore they brief you on Osama the way they brief you on problems that have already outlived 3 different task forces. A Nile crocodile. Lake Victoria, Uganda, village of Luganga. Between 1991 and 2005, it kills approximately 83 people. Roughly 1 out of every 10 people living in that village. It grabs them from the shore while they're washing clothes or filling buckets. It takes children from the water's edge. When villagers try to stay away from the shore, the crocodile adapts. It starts hitting boats. It learns to ram the bottoms of wooden fishing vessels hard enough to capsize them. In documented cases, it launches itself out of the water onto the deck and takes whoever it reaches. Out of every person it attacks, only 15 survive. You've dealt with animals that adapted before, but there's something about Osama that takes a week to fully absorb. The crocodile isn't just hunting, it's responding to countermeasures. It watches, it adjusts, it understands. On some level that the behavior of its prey has changed, and it changes too. The Uganda Wildlife Authority brings in 50 villagers and wildlife officers in 2005. They use a copper snare anchored to the shoreline. It takes weeks of preparation, 3 failed attempts and 1 successful night to pull it off. You're there when they drag it out. It measures 16 feet from snout to tail. Up close, the size of it is different from anything you can prepare for. Not just large, structurally different from the world. Built like something that was never meant to be stopped, they transfer it to a breeding farm. Alive, it's the first time you've closed an assignment without a kill. You stand on the shore afterward and look at the water. The lake looks exactly the same as it did when you arrived. Still, brown at the edges. A fishing net drying on a wooden post. Somewhere out there, the next one is already learning the shoreline. You know that now, level 5, the pair the tigers of Chauga don't exist in any single location. That's the first thing to understand. They cover 1,500 square miles of mountain terrain in northern India. A mother and her grown cub hunting together since the cub was old enough to follow. The mother started killing people because her claws were broken and her teeth were worn to nothing. She couldn't catch deer anymore. She couldn't catch wild boar. So she went after something slower. The cub watched her and learned the same way a cub learns anything, by observation, by repetition, by success. Between 1925 and 1930, they kill somewhere between 64 and 128 people. The tactic is what makes them different from everything you've handled before. They split up. When hunters go after one, the other kills somewhere else. They attack a village, disappear into the mountains, resurface weeks later in a different area once the guards are down. They understand pressure. They redistribute in response to it. They never hold still long enough to be cornered. Jim Corbett spends 2 years and 3 separate trips trying to find them. On his 3rd trip, on the 19th day, he rounds a corner and is standing 8 feet from the mother. You are not Jim Corbett, but you've read every line of his reports. You've walked the same ridge lines. You've spent 19 days of your own before the cub crosses the clearing you've been watching since dawn. You take the shot at 90 meters. It's clean. You find the mother's body 3 days later, already dead from injuries she was carrying before you arrived. You look at the claws, broken to the quick. The teeth worn flat. She'd been in pain for years. She turned to people because she had no other option. That understanding arrives in you somewhere quiet and stays there. You don't know what to do with it yet. You set it aside. There's no room for it in the field. You write your report. Confirmed kills up to 128. 2 animals accounted for. The region goes back to normal within a month. Normal. You think about that word on the flight home. What it costs a place to get back to it. Level 6. The record you know about the Champawat tiger before you accept the assignment. Everyone does. A female Bengal tiger, Western Nepal, late 1890s. She starts killing people after an old gunshot shatters her upper and lower right canines. She can no longer grip fast prey, so she goes after people. By 1907, 436 people are dead. It is the highest confirmed kill count of any single animal in recorded history. The Guinness World Record. You sit with that number before you go. 436. You've been doing this long enough now that numbers like that don't land the same way they used to. That's not numbness. It's something more specific, a recalibration of scale. You've been inside enough of these cases that your mind has changed shape to accommodate them. You don't flinch the way you used to. That should bother you more than it does. The Nepalese army deploys 1,000 soldiers to drive the tiger south across the Sada River into India. It works. The tiger crosses and keeps killing. In the Kumaon district, she moves up to 20 miles a day between villages. Schools close. Roads empty. You organize 300 villages into a drive formation. You've done this before. You know the geometry of it, how to funnel an animal out of terrain that favors it into a line of fire it can't avoid. The tiger comes out of the gorge. You fire. It keeps coming. Your last shot hits her at 20 feet. When you examine the body, you find the broken canines. An old wound. Years of pain that nobody around her could see, that drove everything that came after 436 people. You don't say the number out loud. You carry it back with you instead. There are people who will read your report and see a mission completed, a threat eliminated, a region saved. You see a tiger with broken teeth who couldn't catch deer. You don't share that view with anyone. There's no one to share it with. The people who were here before you are dead or gone. The people who will come after you haven't arrived yet. You are between versions of this job now. That's a different kind of alone. *** level 7. The unkillable ***. His name is Gustav, a Nile crocodile. Burundi, the waters between the Rusizi River and the northern end of Lake Tanganyika. Since at least 1987, he has been killing people along the shoreline. The confirmed death count ranges from 60 to 300. Nobody knows the real number because many of the victims were taken underwater and never recovered. He is believed to be over 18 feet long, approximately 2,000 pounds. At that size, he can no longer hunt fish efficiently. He goes after larger targets. He has been documented taking adult hippos. He kills several people in a short stretch of shoreline, then moves to a different section of the river. He is never in the same place twice. He has been shot with an AK-47. The bullet scars are visible across his back and the top of his skull. In 2004, a team of scientists builds a 1-ton steel cage and deploys it in the area. They spend 2 months. They never catch him. You arrive with better equipment, more experience, and no illusions. 3 months in, you have not caught him either. You begin to understand something that doesn't fit inside a report. Some of these animals are not problems to be solved. They are facts of a landscape. Gustav has been doing this since before you were doing anything. He has outlasted hunters, soldiers, government agencies, and international research teams. He carries bullet wounds the way older men carry old injuries, as evidence that the world has tried and failed. You watch the river, you've started thinking about him differently than you think about other cases. Not with respect, exactly. Something closer to recognition. You've been in this long enough to know what it looks like, when something has simply decided to keep going regardless of what's put in front of it. You know because you've been doing the same thing. The last confirmed sighting of Gustav is in 2015. He is never caught. You write in your report, subject remains active. Recommend ongoing monitoring. * You close your laptop in a supply tent on the Rusizi River, and for the first time in a long career, you are not sure you're on the winning side of something. * level 8. The architects of NJOM ***. You don't take the NJOM assignment. It finds you. A colleague who has been compiling historical data for 11 years sends you a single line. You need to see the full numbers. Between 1932 and 1947, a pride of approximately 15 lions kills an estimated 1,500 people in the NJOM district of Tanzania. 15 years, 1,500 people. It is the deadliest man-eating event in recorded history. You know how it started. The British colonial government was exterminating wild animals across the region to contain rinderpest, a cattle disease. Zebra, wildebeest, antelope, killed by the thousands. The lions lost their food supply. They turned to what remained. The pride traveled up to 20 miles each night. They attacked villages in the afternoon and moved on before dark. They never hit the same village twice in succession. In coordinated strikes, one lion would charge into the village while the others positioned at the exits, taking whoever ran. They broke through the roofs of huts when the doors were barricaded. They ignored livestock entirely. Only people. The locals believed the lions were controlled by a witch doctor named Matamula, removed from his position as chief. They believed the killings would stop only when he was reinstated. People wouldn't say the lions' names out loud. Information stopped moving. Nobody knew where the next attack would come from. Game Ranger George Rushby is sent to deal with it. On one of his early trips, a young girl gives him information that leads him to the pride. He brings her sweets from England the next time he passes through. By then, the lions have already taken her. 4 days earlier, Rushby kills 15 lions in total. After the last is shot, the government reinstates Matamula. The killings have already stopped. But the people believe it was the witch doctor who ended it. You sit with the NJOM file for 3 days before you do anything else. You've spent years in this work. You've closed cases in 5 countries. You've carried numbers that most people can't hold in their heads without flinching. You've looked at the bodies of animals with broken teeth and infected paws and scarred skulls, and understood, without being asked to, that the line between predator and prey is thinner than anyone wants to admit. But 1,500 people over 15 years is a different category of weight. You don't take the assignment to be a hero. You gave up that idea somewhere around level 3. You take it because it's in front of you and you know the terrain and there is no one else left. You spend 14 months in the field. You don't count the lions. You count the villages. When the last one is confirmed down, you sit outside your tent in the early morning and watch the tree line and you feel nothing for a long time. That's not a symptom. It's a consequence. The people who feel nothing have usually been going long enough to know that feeling is expensive and the work costs more than feeling is worth. What you feel eventually is not pride, not relief. It's something quieter, the recognition that the system continues. That it existed before you arrived and will exist after you're gone. That the men who came before you, Corbett, Rushby, the nameless local hunters who died trying, were doing the same thing you're doing. Carrying numbers, covering ground, going back out before the wound heals. The country here is beautiful in the early light, that's still true. that still lands, you hold onto it somewhere across the district. A new name is being written on a list. A young man just graduated, just handed his first folder. Photographs paperclipped to the inside. Numbers he hasn't learned to carry yet. He's reading about the beast of Gavorden right now. About a 14-year-old girl named Jean Boulet. About something that killed 113 people in southern France and was never fully identified. He thinks he understands what he's walking into. He doesn't, but the folders will keep arriving. And one day, a long time from now, he'll sit outside a tent in the early morning, watching a tree line, carrying numbers that most people never have to hold. And he'll understand, the system continues. It always does.